Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday. Saturday. Woo woo. Sober Saturday. Wait a couple minutes and let people come in. We are reading the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book. Please, no harassment, no judgment, and be kind to each other, and know that we are all here for the same reason, and that is to learn something and hopefully use it in your life every day, as I do, whether it's for your sobriety or for whatever purpose. It works for all kinds of things. So just know that everyone is welcome here, and they won't be judged being in the chat or anything. So please feel free to uh, chat here in Facebook and on YouTube. I can't see the YouTube chat because I am on StreamYard. I still don't know how to do the split screen thing. My son showed me a couple times and I still don't get it. So it is what it is. Anyway, so I'm Sandra and I'm an alcoholic. And let's get the meeting started. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, so I always put in the description what book we're reading, what page we're on, and the story or step or tradition we are on for the day. So, step one, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over the care of God as we understood Him. Hello, Lucky. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7. Humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we'd harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So we are on step 10, page 88. Continue to take personal inventory, and when wrong, promptly admit it. As we work the first 9 steps, we prepare ourselves for the adventure of a new life. But when we approach step 10, we commence to put our AA way of living to practical use day by day, in fair weather or foul. Then comes the acid test. Can we stay sober, keep in emotional balance, and live to good purpose under all conditions. A continuous look at our assets and liabilities and our real desire to learn and grow by this means are necessities for us. We alcoholics have learned this the hard way. More experienced More experienced people, of course, in all times and place, have practiced unsparing self-survey and criticism. For the wise have always known that no one can make such of his life until self-searching becomes a regular habit, until he is able to admit and accept. My purse is out there on the microwave cart. To admit and accept what he finds, and until he patiently and persistently tries to correct what is wrong. When a drunk has a terrific hangover because he drank heavily yesterday, he cannot live well today. But there is another kind of hangover which we all experience, whether we are drinking or not. That is the emotional hangover, the direct result of yesterday and sometimes today. Excesses of negative emotion, anger, fear, jealousy, and the like. If we would live serenely today and tomorrow, we certainly need to eliminate these hangovers. This doesn't mean we need to wander morbidly around in the past. It requires an admission and correction of errors now. Our inventory enables us to settle with the past. When this is done, we are really able to leave it behind. When our inventory is carefully taken and we have made peace with ourselves, the conviction follows that tomorrow's challenge can be met as they come. Although all inventories are alike in principle, the time factor does distinguish one from another. There's the spot check inventory. Yes, please. Taken at any time of the day, whether we find ourselves getting tangled up. There's the one we take at day's end. When we review the happenings of the hours just past, here we cast up a balance sheet crediting ourselves with things well done and chalking up debts where due. Then there are those occasions when alone or in the company of our sponsor or spiritual advisor, we make a careful review of our progress. Since the last time, many AAs go in for an annual or semi-annual house cleaning. Many of us also like the experience of an occasional retreat from the outside world where we can quiet down for an undisturbed day or so of self overhaul and meditation. Aren't these practices joy killers as well as time consumers? Must AAs spend most of their waking hours drearily rehashing their sins of omission or commission? Well, hardly. The emphasis on inventory is heavy only because a great many of us have never really acquired the habit of accurate self appraisal. Once this healthy practice has become grooved, it will be self-interesting and profitable. That the time it takes won't be missed. For these minutes and sometimes hours spent in self-examination are bound to make all the other hours of the day better and happier. And at length, our inventories become a regular part of everyday living rather than something unusual or set apart because we ask what a spot check inventory is. Let's look at all let's look at the kind of setting in which such an inventory can do its work. It is a spiritual axiom that every time we are disturbed, no matter what the cause, there is something wrong with us. If somebody hurt us and we are sore, we are in the wrong also. But are there no expectations to this rule? What about justifiable anger? If somebody cheats us, aren't we entitled to be mad? Can we be properly angry with righteous folk? For us of AA, these are dangerous exceptions. We have found that justified anger ought to be left to those better qualified to handle it. Few people have been more victimized by resentment than have we alcoholics. It mattered little whether our resentment were justified or not. A burst of temper could spoil a day, and a well nursed grudge could make us miserable and ineffective. Nor were we ever skillful in separating justified from unjustified anger. As we saw it, our wrath was always justified. Anger, the occasional luxury of more balanced people, could help or could keep us on an emotional jag indefinitely. These emotional dry benders often led straight to the bottle. Other kinds of disturbances, jealousy, envy, self pity, and hurt pride did the same thing. A spot check inventory taken in the midst of such disturbance can be very great help in quieting stormy emotions. Today's spot check finds its chief application to situations which arise in each day's march. The consideration of long-standing difficulties had better be postponed when possible to time deliberately set aside for that purpose. The quick inventory is um, aimed at our daily ups and downs, especially those where people or new events throw us off balance and tempt us to make mistakes. In all these situations, we need self resistance, honest analysis of what is involved, a willingness to admit when the fault is ours, and an equal willingness to forgive when the fault is elsewhere. We need not be discouraged when we fall into the error of our old ways, for these disciplines are not easy. We shall look for progress, not for perfection. Our first objective will be the development of self restraint. This carries a top priority rating. When we speak or act hastily or rashly, the ability to be fair minded and tolerant evaporates on the spot. One unkind tirade or one willful snap judgment can ruin our relation with another person for a whole day or maybe a whole year. Nothing pays off like restraint of tongue and pen. We must avoid quick-tempered criticism or furious power-driven arguments. The same goes for sulking or silent scorn. These are emotional booby traps bait, baited with pride and vengefulness. Our first job is to sidestep the trap when we are tempted by the bait. We should train ourselves to step back and think, for we can neither think nor act to good purpose until the habit of self restraint has become automatic. Disagreeable or unexpected problems are not the only ones that call for self control. We must be quiet and careful when we begin to achieve some measure of importance in material success. For no people have ever loved personal triumph. Lay down. More than we have loved them. We drank of success as a wine which could never fall to make us feel elated. When temporary good fortune came our way, we indulged ourselves in fantasies of still greater victories over people and circumstances. Thus, blind by prideful self confidence, we were apt to play the big shot. Of course, people turned away from us bored or hurt. Now that we're in AA and sober and winning back the esteem of our friends and business associates, we find that we still need to exercise special vigilance as an insurance against big shotism. We can often check ourselves by remembering that we are today sober only by the grace of God and that any success we may be having is far more His success than ours. Finally, we begin to see that all people, including ourselves, are to some extent emotionally ill as well as frequently wrong. And then we approach true tolerance and see what real love for our fellows actually means. It will become more and more evident as we go forward that it is pointless to become angry or to get hurt by people who, like us, are suffering from the pains of growing up. Such a radical change in our outlook will take time, maybe a lot of time. Not many people can truthfully assert that they love everybody. Most of us must admit that we have loved but a few, that we have been quite indifferent to the many so long as none of them gave us trouble. And as the reminder, well, we have really disliked or hated them. Although these attitudes are common enough, we find we need something much better in order to keep our balance. Excuse me. We can't find it if we hate deeply. The idea that we can be possess, possessively loving of a few, can ignore the many, and can continue to fear or hate anybody, excuse me, has to be abandoned, if only a little at a time. We cry we try to stop making unreasonable demands upon those we love. We can show kindness where we had shown none. With those we dislike, we can begin to practice justice and courtesy, perhaps going out of our way to understand and help them. Whenever we fail any of these people, we can promptly admit it to ourselves always and to them also, when the admission would be helpful. Courtesy, courtesy, kindness, justice, and love are the key notes by which we can come into harmony with practically anybody. When in doubt, we can always pause, say, "Not my will, but thine be done." And we can often ask ourselves, "Am I doing the others as I would have them do to me today?" When evening comes, perhaps just before going to sleep, many of us draw up a balance sheet for the day. This is a good place to remember that inventory taking is not always done in red ink. It's a poor day indeed when we haven't done something right. As a matter of fact, the waking hours are usually well filled with things that are constructive. Good intentions, good thoughts, and good acts are there for us to see. Even when we have tried hard and failed, we may chalk that up as one of the greatest credits of all. Under these under these conditions, the pains of failure are converted into assets. Out of them, we receive the stimulation we need to go forward. Someone who knew what he was talking about once remarked that pain was the touchstone of all spiritual progress. How heartily we AA can agree with him, for we know that the pains of drinking had come before sobriety, and emotional turmoil before serenity. As we glance down the depth side of the day's ledger, we should carefully examine our motives in each thought or act that appears to be wrong. In most cases, our motives won't be hard to see and understand. When prideful, angry, jealous, anxious, or fearful, we acted accordingly. And that was that. Here we need only recognize that we did act or think badly, try to visualize how we might have done better, and resolve with God's help to carry these lessons over into tomorrow. Of course, any amends still neglected, but in other instances, only the closest scrutiny will reveal what our true motives were. There are cases where our ancient enemy rationalization has stepped in and has justified conduct which was really wrong. The temptation here is to imagine that we had good motives and reasons when we really didn't. We constructively criticize someone who needed it when our real motive was to win a useful or a useless argument, or the person concerned not being present. We thought we were helping others to understand him, when in actuality our true motive was to feel superior by pulling him down. We sometimes hurt those we love because they need to be taught a lesson. When we really want to punish, we were depressed and complained we felt bad, when in fact we were mainly asking for sympathy and attention. This odd bad motive underneath a good one perme- perme- permeates human affairs from top to bottom. The subtle and elusive kind of self righteousness can underlie the smallest act or thought. Learning daily to spot, admit, and correct these flaws is the essence of character building and good living. An honest regret for harms done, a genuine gratitude for blessings received, and a willingness to try for better things tomorrow will be a permanent asset we shall seek. Having so considered our day, not omitting to take due note of things well done, and having reached or searched our hearts with neither fear nor favor, we can truly thank God for the blessing we have received and sleep in good conscience. Oh, so um, yes, when we're drinking, we don't care about somebody else's feelings. We don't care about our actions and things we say and things we do. That's why we do these steps, is because it shows us different ways of dealing with that without like causing an argument or getting into a bad situation. For me, what I do, if I no matter what, when I go somewhere, I have to have a get out plan. Always have to have a get out plan, because I don't want to hurt people. So if I take myself out of the situation, because I am the only one I can control, if I take myself out and place myself somewhere else for a while before I do or say something dumb, that's a better thing, which I have learned, and I do it all the time. I'm not perfect. I do still have my moments when I'm cursing somebody out in my mind. But of course, I have to say a prayer and say, Thy will be done, and let it go. So, um, Septim is, it explains a lot of things that we go through when we're drinking, and how we treat people, and it tells us other ways to be mindful of other people's feelings and their thoughts while still being able to have our own and be true to ourselves. And that's the great thing about AA for me. It's given me a wonderful gift, and I use it every single day. I may not think about AA every day, but I do work my steps every day. And when I do something wrong, I promptly admit that. Whether it is arguing with my sister because we're neighbors and we can get into those spats, And but like I said, what I do is I go into my own space. Like if we get in an argument and we're outside, I just come home and shut the door, plain and simple, and then I'll make up with my sister and admit what fault I had in it. And that's what we need to be doing instead of just holding it in and making it worse. Which is what it does when you are holding a grudge, is it's making it worse. And we don't want to deal with stuff getting worse than what it needed than it was when it first happened. That is awesome, Lucky. Thank you for putting that in there. I'm going to read it out loud because I have Facebook over here. Let me read this out loud. Let me know what you think. God, grant me the serenity to stop beating myself for not doing things perfectly. Courage to forgive myself because I'm working on doing better. And the wisdom to know that you already love me just the way I am. That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. That is awesome. So, but when we go to AA, when we first start, I I was scared to death. I didn't know anybody in there. I was like, oh, no, no, no. And I knew one person, and that was my friend that invited me. And I'm still so very grateful for that friend. Whether he's sober today or not, I don't know. But no matter what, I am still grateful to him for encouraging me to go to that first AA meeting that I went to because um, it means so much to me now. And it is a daily thing for me. Um, I know my sister works her steps every day. With everything that we do, our steps are right there, and we know what we need to do when we are in that bad place of oh being rude and being mean and stuff like that. We know what to do when we're starting to get at that point, and so we just automatically do what we know we're supposed to do. And one that my sponsor has always said, you can only control what's in your hula hoop. Yep, only control what's in your hula hoop. And you should talk to your sponsors. Um, I miss talking to my sponsor Judy. She passed in December, but I still have my sponsor that's close by. I don't talk to her every day, even though I should. And yeah, huh. But I am a better me today than what I was back when I was drinking because my attitude has completely changed. I actually feel my feelings when you know, I state how it makes me feel because I found my voice. Thank you, Judy. Um, but you need to lay down because I am live right now and you always do this to me. You can wait. Copper is right here, of course. But use your voice and always remind yourself that no matter what, you're worth sobriety. You are worth it. The alcohol is not worth your life. It is so not worth your life. And it can be hard at times being sober. Believe me, I have hard times, but I always remind myself if I go back out and drink, I probably won't come back. And I'm scared of that. I'm very scared of that. Um, so I'm not planning to ever go back out, but I can't say I won't because we don't know because we only have today. And I'm grateful for today because I am sober and I have all of you here with me. And I have a great community that helps me and a wonderful fellowship with my AA group and, well, what used to be my group. Um, but, it is wonderful to be sober, even though, yes, I have my sad days where I just cry and cry and cry. But it it's not self pity. It is that I'm going through stuff with my kid, or I'm going through stuff with another family member, or I'm just frustrated with life at that time. But I'm not drinking to cover it up or to make me feel like my feelings are real because they are real. They're already real. Play the tape through. What do you mean? But life sober is a great thing. Whether it's narcotics or prescription meds or alcohol. Um, yeah. Hello, uh, Tommy. Thank you for coming. Oh, yeah. Play the tape through before ever drinking. Yes, that's a great way to put it, um, Tony. So, like she said, play the tape through before ever drink. Which, if you play it back, how you were before you got sober, because I can remember how I was. I was a drunk and I was not nice, and and I don't miss who I was. And so when I first got sober, this is what I did. I stopped playing music that had alcohol names in it. I stopped hanging out at the bars. I stopped hanging out with some of my friends and my family. Well, really, I don't have any friends other than a couple that mean the world to me and all of you guys here. But I stopped doing all of those things that have the alcohol in it. And I realized that I can't live like that because that's like isolating me from a lot of people. So, and a lot of my family members now, especially my dad, I love my dad. He's not my biological dad, but he's my dad. He raised me. Um, he always asks me, "Is it all right I have a drink?" Because it's in his house. It's not my place to say no. But he will ask me if it would be all right if he had a drink. Before, he didn't care, you know? And having that means a lot because it shows that they understand that if I'm feeling like I might go and take that drink. They will help me to say no. They will ask me before they do take a drink. And to me, that means a lot. It really does. It means a lot. Play the tape through is looking at the bad and good things out of a situation before you think. Look for resentments in the situation. Exactly. Yes, exactly. So just remember, you guys, that you're not alone. There are a lot of us that are sufferers of alcoholism or whatever habit, I've only had a couple drags off of one cigarette today, and that was at 6:30 this morning. So yay, go me. I'm quitting. I have to. Um, I can't afford to smoke. My life is already like I have COPD, emphysema, and apnea, so I need to quit, and I want to be able to live the rest of my life being able to breathe. So hopefully, I can correct it all before it is all worse. So number one thing I got rid of is alcohol, and I got rid of that 9 years ago, and I couldn't be more proud of myself for not taking a step back in the back, because I'm not going back. I'm not going back to that. I refuse to go back to that. So, but anyways, I'm going to say the serenity prayer, and then I'm going to close out Facebook live and read the daily reflection, and then post it on my wall here on Facebook. So I love you guys. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Love you guys. It's a minute, YouTube. Alright. Let's go here. See, I get the daily reflection on my phone. It's an app. It's free. And there's a lot you can read. February 24th. A thankful heart. I try to hold fast to the truth that a full and thankful heart cannot entertain for conceit. When brimming with or brimming with gratitude, one heartbeat must surely result in outgoing love, the finest emotion that we can ever know, as Bill sees it, page 37. My sponsor told me that I should be a grateful alcoholic, and always have an attitude of gratitude. That gratitude was the basic ingredient of humility. That humility was a basic ingredient of anonymity. And the anonymity was the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. As a result of this guidance, I start every morning on my knees, thanking God for three things. I'm alive, I'm sober, and I am a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Then I try to live an attitude of gratitude and thoroughly enjoy another 24 hours of the AA way of life. AA is not something I join, it's something I live. And with that, I love you guys, and please have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay sober, and just remember you're not alone. There's a lot of us. Well, I love you guys.